Let us get started with compatibility testing. One of the most important factors that software companies need to deal with today is compatibility, because the environments on which your application is being used, can you control it? Because let us take a simple example of, say, Gmail. If you take Gmail, of course you need to sign up, you need to log in and then start using it. But how do you know what browser an end user will use? It's very difficult. It's very difficult to predict. He or she may use Internet Explorer, they may use Firefox, Rockmelt, Chrome, different browsers. You cannot control it. The simple motto is rule number one, you cannot control end users. So what can I say? If you say, no, you need to use only this browser. If you just give only one option, you may lose the game. Because today's world, it has got almost today's, if you look at the browser share across the world, it's almost like IE, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, they are all leading. Maybe 20-30% each one. So unless you give more options to the users, it should be flexible for the users and not restricting, then only you can win the game. Why should I give all these options? The more users you have, the more money you get. Very simple. Across the world, if you assume that there are 1 billion users accessing your application, and if you say 20% of them is using Internet Explorer, I'm just giving these numbers, may not be actuals. 30% using Firefox, 15% using Chrome. Out of 1 million, only when your application supports all these things, you can grab that crowd. Otherwise, you cannot. So, to attract more users with least hurdles. When I say least hurdles, you don't ask them to install a new thing. So, if you ask them to install, they may go back to a competitor. So, without disturbing the users, you try to be flexible to the user's browser. That is not the only thing. If you take this case, on list of browsers is IE, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, right? Netscape, right? AOL. There are so many browsers available. That is not the end of it. Now there is one more complexity. The complexity is, new problem is versions in each browser. That means I can use Firefox 3.6 or Firefox 4 or Firefox 5 or Firefox 6. There may be so many versions also available in all these browsers. Now the question is, we can have a matrix saying that IE top 5 versions, Firefox top 5 versions, Chrome top 5 versions. That means we are talking about 15 different versions, environments, right? The big question is, did you test on all those? Otherwise, you may ask the question, oh, if it works in one browser, it will work in the other browser. The answer is no. This is another rule number 2. Rule number 2 is, if it works on one browser, it need not work on another browser. Very simple. Many times people misunderstand this. There is no guarantee. Even from one version to another version, if it works on one browser, it need not work on another browser. Reason is every browser has been implemented in a different way. Though they are all using HTTP, HTML, HTTPS, it doesn't mean the way it displays on one browser, it will be the same way it will display on the other browser. This means, let us take applications in two ways. Display of screens. This is also called rendering of screens. Okay. Now let me save this notepad. This is compatibility webinar notes. And today is 20th October. I think people who have got, who have attended last session on security testing, we have forwarded the notes of security testing to all the people. Okay. Another thing is, we have received, last webinar was attended almost by 480 people. Okay. And we have got about 1.5 hours. Lot of questions came. We were able to answer a few, not all. One or two members were not very happy with that. They said, my question is not answered. Again, we actually want to, but there is a time restriction always. And imagine when 480 people attend, assume that even one question is given by every user, we are talking about too many things, right? So what we are planning to do in Open Mentor, okay, new initiative, right? It will be coming live soon, like post your questions, right? In Open Mentor itself, there are many portals like Ask or interview questions, but we are focusing on industry-based questions, not just academic-based questions. So post your questions initiative will come very soon. This will be answered not just anybody, it will be answered only by experts. Okay. And one more initiative we are looking at is recorded pieces of interviews. Okay. Only voice part of it. So far we have not seen recorded interviews on many portals. There are interview questions in text. Open Mentor will provide these two initiatives post Diwali, maybe in November. Hope if you like these two initiatives, please raise your hands. Great. I could see a lot of hands raising. That is good. Coming back to the compatibility part of it. Okay. So now one is the display of screens. Second part is behavior of events. When I say click or type, okay, the behavior of events also do change between browsers. Now I'm going to show you, many times people will wonder, is it true? I can show it to you only when you see this, you can understand in a better way. Okay. Look at this. I'm showing an IE browser. Okay. Now in IE browser, I have opened one of our internal applications. Now I'm typing I'm trying to log into this application. Okay. I'm trying to log into this application. So it's a .NET application. I am opening it in Internet Explorer. I will try to do the same thing in a different browser. Okay. Now there is I'm not sure what is the problem over here. It didn't even get me in. Let me try once again. Yeah. It is waiting, means at least the server is not down, right? And did you notice there were some 3 dots in the home page? It showed some 3 dots on this left hand side. I will show it again in a different browser. You will understand what I mean. Okay, a few people noted it. They are raising their hands. Okay. Look at this now. Okay. There is a menu. Okay. There is a menu. It shows over here. And there is a grid. Okay. There is a grid over here. There is a menu over here. Now, pretty carefully watch. These menu items, this menu button definitely has 4 edges, right? The edges are very clean. The lines are pretty clear, right? There is absolutely no issues in these lines. Now, hold on. This is on IE. So if you just watch this, the menu is pretty clear. Now watch. I am going to Firefox. I am trying to access the same application through Firefox. Okay. I was talking about these 3 dots. Okay. These 3 dots I talked about. If you have noticed it, right? Look at these 3 dots. Okay. There are 3 dots over here. Now, there is a very simple thing. I can tell you this way. First, I go to Internet Explorer. Again, I do the same thing. Watch. Just watch. I am logging out. Look at these dots. Okay. Look at these dots. Do you see a difference in their way, right? The way these dots are displayed over here is slightly different from the way these dots are looking over here. In one place, it is darker. In one place, it is brighter. Finer difference. Now let me log in once again to this one. Many times people don't understand why it is happening this so, because it is like, that is exactly the compatibility. The compatibility meaning your application may work great in one browser, your application may not work great in another application, another browser. Now watch very carefully. In Firefox, do you see the edges of the menu clearly? Look at this. Look at this one. The behavior. In Internet Explorer, this pop-up box never came. When I logged in Internet Explorer, the pop-up box never came. But whereas when I do the same thing in Firefox, this pop-up box is coming. So this is called the behavior. The behavior of this application that we are internally using, okay, when I do this, in Firefox, it is giving me that pop-up unwanted. Now the same thing, I am logging in Internet Explorer. You could see the menu with proper sharp edges, right? And the other thing is, you will never get a pop-up like that. When it is logging into Internet Explorer, it is going on fine. Whereas when it came to Firefox, it used to give you that pop-up box. Correct? In IE, no pop-up came. It logged in smooth. Look at the edges over here under the menu. You could see everything is dark. And there is one more difference between these two screens. I'm just going to minimize this screen and this screen. I want you to find out the difference. Can you find out the difference between this one is Firefox, this portion is Firefox, this portion is IE? You find the difference and tell me. And you can type it and then send it to me. We are on the same screen, but look at the difference. This is Firefox. This is IE. Now, right. Many people, okay, they say they are able to find out form code. Yes. Look at the difference. I'm highlighting those things. Form code, it is appearing over here. In IE, it is not having anything as a text box. Whereas here, you could see there's a text box. Now, in IE, all these icons are aligned to the right, whereas in Firefox, they are all aligned to the left. And more than that, in IE, these two are showing in disabled mode in light gray color, whereas here, if you see, they are in dark black, right? Look at the go button. The go button is smaller here, the go button is larger here. That is the difference. So at least are you able to figure out the space difference, alignment difference, size difference, right? Can you please raise your hands if you are able to find it out, figure it out? Great. This is good. This is what we call it as compatibility. Many times people misunderstand the rule, great rule. If it works in one browser, it need not work well in another browser. I'm showing you just one form, one activity, right? There may be multiple activities that you can do, right? So this is the first thing. The first compatibility part I want to tell you is this. Okay, I'm just logging out of it. I'm now coming out over here, right? This is the first thing. The very first thing that you will understand in terms of compatibility is the display need not be the same, right? The display need not be the same. Behavior of events. We saw an unnecessary pop-up coming up in Firefox. Like this, we need to test every single combination. How do we do? The way we need to do is